my favorite sister, Faith. She always brings faith to all of us. So let's welcome her.
Hello.
Yes.
Whoa, oh, hey, nervous. Hello everyone, I'm Faith from Sikzi Junior High School. So today I'm going to share you that after I joining this program, my adventurous journey for the teaching and for myself. So let's get started. So first I'll tell you the teaching strategy first, with my action plan, which is about inquiry-based learning, and the last is my overall reflections on the program. So first I'll introduce the teaching strategy. I'll tell you 2 reading activities I learned from Canada, from the teacher Jennifer. So there are 2. The first is about pre-reading and the second one is about while reading. So for pre-reading, it's called building from clues. It's that teachers give students real concrete things to let students guess what may happen in the story. So for example, before I told a story about a boy who had a nightmare, I gave students these 3 clues: a pillow, a black sheep, and a clock. So students can use their imagination to guess, predict the story. So like this student, he thought that, okay, so the boy was sleeping a big pillow and suddenly he saw a black sheep. And it turns out that the sheep is the big clock who wants to bite him. So okay, yeah, very creative ideas. And the other one is called thinking like a photographer. When students are listening to the story, they need to visualize the story by drawing a comic strip. So for my reflection for these 2 activities, I think they fully prepare students for reading, and they are also good ways for students to use their imagination and creativity. And also for the thinking like photographer activity, exercise students' ability to visualize for comprehension and make connections. So that's the 2 activities I found really helpful, and I'll also use them in my action plan. So, okay, next part is my action plan, and I adopt inquiry-based learning as my method. But actually, before I joined the program, I always thought that inquiry-based learning is science stuff, that it's hard for teachers to make students think deeply in English class. But after teacher's demonstration in Canada, I decided now I can give it a try. So my goal is that students have the motivation to use English to present their knowledge and ideas about the world. And for my background of my students, they are 8th graders, and over half of them are in the middle level. And there are totally 4 lessons in my action plan. It's theme-based, so I try to cover different topics in the textbook. And also I'll combine strategies I learned from the program. So in each lesson, there are guiding questions to make students make inquiry for the topic. And the language task is for students to present what they've learned in class. For the learning journal, students need to answer the guiding questions. They can answer both in Chinese or English, since I want to read more about their thoughts, not grading their English proficiency. And they are also free to search any information if they feel needed. So there are 3 elements in my lessons. So I'll go through 4 lessons, but I'll put more focus on lesson 2 and 4. So lesson 1 is about Australian history and Australian English. And here are the guiding questions. Okay, and I'll show some pictures for what I did in class, and you can see the procedure as reference. Thank you for the model from Mina. And yeah, so first, Gabriel already introduced this activity. It helps students to build out their background knowledge. So students need to write down what they know about Australia first, and then post it on the board. And later, they need to make inquiry by these 3 pictures to make a guess at what the first comer will like in Australia, so to know a little bit about their history. And after that, I introduce some Australian English. They need to match American English and Australian English. So for example, barbecue in Australian English becomes barbie. So these 2 students are in a pair, so to let them get more familiar with the words. So after that, for their learning journals, ask about the connection between Australian English and their history. So students are free to write in Chinese, and some students even check out Australian history online. So it's amazing, like if we give students opportunity, actually they are willing to learn more by themselves, and they can do it pretty well. Okay, so move on to the lesson 2. It's about true love, and it connects to a Greek love story in the textbook. It's called Diana and Endymion. I think maybe you all know this. So first, students they are supposed to walk to think of the guiding questions and write down their ideas as a warm-up. And then they listen to the love story and they did the thinking like a photographer activity here. And I also asked them to write to create a new ending for the story below. Some students they even draw a new comic strip for the ending. Okay, and then oops. Look. Oh, okay. Oops. Sorry. Oh no. Wrong one. This one. No, this one. Okay, sorry, maybe too many pictures. Okay, so move on. And then they could create the rubrics for the new ending. So like they think of logic, clarity, and creativity. And they use these rubrics to score classmates' work. So they walk around and score and see their classmates' work. They really enjoy their role as teachers to grade each other's work. Okay, so it's for the story part. And for the learning journals, it's surprising to see that some students they check out the definition of the terms, like what is lust or what is love. Okay, and as for my homework class, I asked them to write down their ideas about true love or the difference between love and infatuation. So yeah, I think they had really nice thoughts upon it. Okay, the tip of lesson 3, we talk about the superstition of ghost press, 鬼压床. And guiding questions ask students about their experience and ideas about sleep paralysis. It's a sickness. So students first they need to use 3 clues to predict the story, like what I mentioned in the teaching strategy part. So yeah, I bought a big pillow to my class to let them predict the story. So after they listened to the story, they had a group discussion about sleep paralysis and ghosts, if ghosts are real or not. So I gave them some guiding sentences to help them write down their ideas. So some of them think ghosts are real, some of them think not. And for their learning journals, I encourage them to write more in English. And I'm glad some of them did try it. They check out some vocabularies they don't know. And here we have a professor of sleep paralysis. So I remember this student, she wrote about Australian history in lesson 1 in Chinese. But in lesson 3, she can write it all in English. So I can really see her progress through the time. So for the last lesson, it's about jobs. And I focus more on the qualities for different kinds of jobs. So first, I show some jobs, and students need to discuss and present their ideas about different qualities for certain jobs. So for example, they all know YouTubers. YouTuber is very popular now. So they will think like, okay, being a YouTuber, you can be shy, you need to be humorous, you need to be good at making videos, something like that. And then they need to finish their learning journal first to find a job they feel interested and find out the qualities they need. And the next period, they should, based on their learning journals, to rewrite the dialogue from the textbook. They need to fill in the job they want to be in the future and also their qualities. So after they rewrite it, they did a rehearsal in groups. So later they add out their own dialogue in front of the class. So yeah, they will really enjoy their own show. Okay, so that's my 4 lessons, and I did a teacher survey after my action plan. And in their feedback, most of the students are willing to think of some questions to relate to the topic, and also make connections with their daily experiences. And you can see some of students' written feedback. They think like, yeah, it's meaningful to discuss about love, so they can know more about themselves too. And thinking like a photographer activity is really interesting because they can use their imagination to create a new ending for the story. And also it's really nice to hear from others' thoughts in discussion. And for the topic of jobs, they get more knowledge after they search information by themselves. So for my overall reflection, for my action plan, I think as teachers guide students properly, they are really willing to learn beyond the textbook, and they are also able to find the knowledge and information by themselves. And also giving enough assistance for inquiry is important. Teachers need to provide enough background information, guided sentence, and also how to balance the target language and native language is another issue, because I think like in English class in junior high school in Taiwan, if you want to dig in more for the topic, native language can help the discussion to move on, since students' proficiency at junior high school level is still not high enough for them to discuss in their target language. And the last one is try not to be overpacked, because I always think like, okay, keeping students busy in class is good, but some students told me that they feel they are too busy in my class. Like sometimes they lost the focus. So I should always remind myself that less is more. Yeah. Okay, for the last part, what I learned from this program, there are 3 things I want to share with you. The first one is I always make use of diverse design when preparing lessons to make sure that every activity in my class is purposeful. So I will make a table for each unit like this. I've learned how to structure my lesson by designing both content objective and language objectives first, and then I design teaching activities and my reflection afterwards. So I hope I can keep on doing this in the future and make it as a habit. And the second thing is be inclusive and celebrate diversity in class. So from this semester, I want students to practice care for one another. So start from me, we celebrate everyone's birthday. So it's like every student is responsible for one classmate's birthday, and they need to think of a way to celebrate their birthdays. So I can show you something special. Like one of the boys, he even made the balloons for the girl's name and made a short video for the girl in the middle. And the girl was so touched that she even cried. Yeah, so yeah, I just feel like after these activities, I can feel like, yeah, there's more care, more warming atmosphere in my class. Yeah. And the last one, okay, I want to share with you like, actually 2 years ago, I was sitting here, listening to the presentation, and still wonder like, whether I should join this program. And 2 years later, now, I'm so glad that I jumped out of my comfort zone, and I'm standing here to be one of them. In the program, I met excellent partners all around Taiwan, and also great teachers from other countries. So sometimes when I may have some frustration in teaching, I'll think of them. There are many of them trying their best to make a difference, and I'm not alone. So thanks God that I met all of you, and I just want to say that always be open-minded. There are lots of great things for you to explore, and most importantly, to explore yourself. So that's my adventurous journey. Thanks for your listening.